What's up, Thunder fans? This is Brady Trantham from Thunder Digest.
I'm Suave Francisco from the SuaveReport.com.
And we are coming at you live from the Chesapeake Energy Arena after the Thunder's just woeful performance tonight against the Damian Lillardless Portland Trailblazers. Adam, it was an up and down game kind of for the first half. The Thunder seemed to look like they were going to take control at some point, but the third quarter got away from them again.
Yeah. Seems like this team, if you guys have not noticed yet, just can't play defense without Andre Roberson. They need Paul George and Roberson in the game at the same or active at the same time. For some reason, they just can't seem to get things going defensively without them. I don't know why, because Paul George is a very good defensive player, but I don't know what the problem is.
This team is chock full of good defenders individually. I mean, Paul George for one. Patrick Patterson is a good defensive player. Raymond Felton is his defensive effort is, you see it every night.
Mm-hmm.
Even Russell Westbrook, when he's locked in, is a really good defender when he wants to be. Tonight, it's really hard to kind of put your finger on one thing. I mean, the Thunder were kind of careless with the ball. I think at one point, midway through the third quarter, they had 14 turnovers at that point.
Looks like the final box, they had 14.
Yeah, 14 turnovers on the night. Nurkic was able to kind of feast down low like he always does whenever. I mean, Nurkic just kind of stays killing the Thunder.
I don't know why either. He's good, but he's not.
He's good. He's not
an all-star.
He's a good athletic big, and Adams is. If he ever has problems defending down low, it's when he's playing players like this that can are able to kind of stretch out and hit a jumper. But other than that, it's just really hard to pinpoint one thing. And I said it during the game. I mean, Andre Roberson, Brett Dawson said it also during the game where Andre Roberson's making a case for being the defensive player of the year in his absence. But, having said that, it's a little disappointing that one player has that much of a say on an entire team defensive effort.
Yeah, he doesn't have that personality. He doesn't have your typical defensive stopper type of personality, kind of like Tony Allen does and, players like that. But he's obviously the leader of this team defensively, and though he's not a very vocal person, it's clear because Paul George just 2 weeks ago, people were talking about he was going to be, or he was a possibility for Defensive Player of the Year, but now you're seeing this team without him, and they look horrible.
Yeah, the other day, Steven Adams kind of said as much about Andre Roberson's absence, and that he does a lot of the little things that keep certain things that the opponent is able to do from kind of snowballing and getting out of control, and that's exactly what happened in the third quarter. Thunder were outscored 34-25, and the Thunder were lucky that they were outscored 34-25 because I think in the last minute 20, the Thunder scored 8 quick points on a few possessions, so it was a lot worse than it ended up being. But again, Andre Roberson's, according to Billy Donovan, is going to be out for the next 2 games. They've got to turn right around and go up to Minnesota.
Playing number 4 team in the Western
Conference.
Playing
the number 4 seed in the Western Conference right now. And the Thunder, who just a week and a half ago seemed like they were in the 5th spot with a really good look at trying to steal that 4th spot from Minnesota, are now, I think they were, going into tonight, they were a half game ahead in the 5th seed, and I think they've dropped to the 6th or 7th now. It's still pretty early in the season. We're barely into January, and this
is the exact halfway point.
Yeah, game 41 of 82. It's a little disappointing. It's a lot disappointing, especially when the reigning MVP, leader of this team, Russell Westbrook, leaves the arena before they even open the doors.
That's Russell Westbrook, though.
Yeah,
that if he was the typical NBA player, it would be a topic. But he's done this so many times, and it seems like he does it every time they lose to the Trailblazers.
Probably FaceTiming Noah.
Probably. That sounds about right. But Portland also shot very well today. They shot 42.1% from the three-point line, which still kind of reflects on our perimeter defense. We can go back into that if we want, but we're not going to. But
21 of 26 from the foul line,
21 of 26.
Yeah, 21 of 26 from the foul line. The Thunder 19 of 26, which for them is pretty good, but which is a sad thing to say. This is a team that is historically great from the free throw line, but again, you can't really pinpoint it on one thing. It wasn't just free throw shooting. It wasn't just the lack of hitting shots. It wasn't just the lack of closing out on 3-point shooters. It was just an all-around disappointing and bad performance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're gonna probably leave it for tonight. There's really not that much else to say.
About.
If you watch the game, you have as many opinions as we do, and we all probably share them. But yeah, like we said, the Thunder have to turn right around tomorrow night and play a second night of a back-to-back against the Minnesota Timberwolves, which is a team that has gotten the best of them early on this year. It's the fourth time they would have seen each other so far. The Thunder winning the last meeting, I believe, losing the first two. It's a game the Thunder definitely have to win. If I mean, as up and down as this team has been, they're always dangerously close to either breaking through to that good side of the spectrum, or right now it seems like they're dangerously close to losing it.
Yeah, and with this game against Minnesota, it's going to be a close matchup, but remember that game, was it the first game or the second game when Andrew Wiggins hit that game winner that shouldn't have been a game winner because there was a foul that the NBA admitted that they lost. So they really have won 2 of the 3 games. And I think we found a working formula to beat this team. I don't think it's going to be as difficult as people make it seem, but without their best defensive player, how much of a struggle is it going to be for them?
Yeah, I mean, the thing you can be optimistic about if you're a Thunder fan is Karl Anthony Towns has historically had terrible games defensively against Steven Adams.
Yeah. Too physical.
But the sad thing is the counterbalance to that is, well, I mean, Andrew Wiggins in the last year or so seems like he has his better games against the Thunder, and now the Thunder are still going to be without Andre Robertson. So it's pretty much any man's guess on how this game's going to go, but they've got to turn it around. They've got to be able to find a way to basically play up to their capability while simultaneously trying to play outside of their minds defensively, because again, it's really apparent this team misses Andre Robertson.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. But I have a short, a short little
rant.
Rant I have for Thunder Twitter. Every time this team loses, it seems like the blame always goes to Billy Donovan. And yes, he's not the best coach. I think we all agree on that. He's not the best NBA coach, but no, there's only one best NBA coach, and that's Greg Popovich right now. In the NBA, coaches don't hold that much weight, and he can preach defense. He can get in players' faces and continuously preach defense. But it's up to these grown men, these 20-year-old plus men to go out there, millionaires, to just play defense. To just play defense. He can't physically make them play defense. So, this whole Billy Donovan needs to get the boot thing is really, really played out. He's made a lot of great adjustments this year. He's made Andre Roberson less of a liability on offense. I think that's probably his biggest adjustment this year is, making him a threat. Him slashing is a threat because he's once he's inside of 15 feet or so, he's going to probably make the basket. If he's in the paint, he's going to make the basket or get fouled, and that's a whole other story. But
yeah, I mean, I've said it as much on the Peak and Roll podcast a few times about this particular subject. I mean, I understand the frustrations when a team this talented is hovering around 500 perpetually the entire year. A lot of blame's always going to go to the coach, no matter what sport, no matter what league you're following. It's always going to go up to the coach when expectations aren't being met. But having said that, I mean, you just want to look at it pragmatically. The Thunder aren't going to fire Billy Donovan anytime soon. Sam Presti loves the guy. Billy Donovan has proven to be a very, very good NBA coach, and he's highly respected by the right people. I mean, the Spurs, it seems like every year there's an article that drops that somebody close to the Spurs organization just raves about Billy Donovan and how they would love to ideally see him even take over the reins, if possible, when Greg Popovich decides to call it a career. But this season has been disappointing for a lot of reasons, and to pin it all on one person, I think, is unfair.
Yeah.
The thing you want to be optimistic about with this team is if they're able to kind of get the 5th seed or higher, which is still very attainable, and especially if they're,
I think they will.
Yeah, especially if they're able to win tomorrow night, that'll be huge for the confidence of this team. But if they're able to get the 5th seed or higher, you can rely on the fact that you have a Russell Westbrook, a Steven Adams, who have been going to battle in the Western Conference postseason the last 3 years. Carmelo Anthony, who has a lot of experience both in the Western and the Eastern Conference playoffs, excuse me, not the Eastern Conference Finals. And Paul George, who battled the LeBron James Miami Heat for 2 years in the Eastern Conference Finals. So this team has a lot of veteran leadership and has basically been there, done that. So you get to the playoffs, you may not win the 55-plus games that I kind of saw this team possibly being able to win. You may not win
54.
that. You may not be able to win that many games, but you get in the playoffs, it's a completely different story. The game changes, it slows down. You can rely on the defense that the Thunder, when fully healthy, are one of the best, if not the best, defensive team in the league. That's the one thing you got to be optimistic about. Other than that, you just hope that this team gets a 10 or 11 game stretch where they win all their games.
Yeah, right now they're 20. I think it's 22-18 or 22-19 now. Is it? Let me see.
Actually,
22-19. Sorry, they're 22-19, so they're on pace for a 44-win season, which would be highly disappointing. But I'm still placing them right around 48 to 50 wins because I think somewhere after the All-Star break they're going to go on one of those 8, 9, 10 game win streaks that no one really expected. They don't have a real tough schedule after the All-Star break, I don't think. I may want to check back on that. I don't want to give you guys false information, but I think they have a pretty favorable schedule after the All-Star break. So I still expect them to make a run at that 4 seed. I think we'll see them. I think we'll see Minnesota and OKC in that 4-5 matchup. I think they're both pretty solid. In that position. I don't think anyone under OKC is going to do any better. So
a lot's going to have to change in just less than 24 hours on the road, so we'll just kind of leave it there. For Mr. Adam Francisco, I am Brady Trantham for Thunder Digest. Everybody, thank you so much. Check out Adam's stuff on Twitter. Follow him. Follow his website. Does a great job, as always. Love seeing Adam at the games. Of course, follow Peak and Roll Podcast, ThunderDigest.com, and all that fun stuff. I got an Alex Abrinas article dropping tomorrow, which still applies. I was a little worried because last time I had an article ready before a game, what I was writing about completely was a wash after the performance. Happens
to the best of us.
Yeah, so Abrinas I think only played 10 minutes and scored 5 or 6 points, so it's still going to apply tomorrow. So look for that tomorrow morning, everybody. But Thunder lose 117-106 to the Portland Trailblazers, and that's where we're going to leave it. Y'all have a good night.
Nice rest of your week.